shack cities and tent cities all over the place, and Plumb did not like that. He liked nice, neat, orderly things. And that's where Fawcett's forte was. Buying neighborhoods, developing the neighborhoods into nice, neat, universal lengths and widths. And he made a deal with Fawcett. He said, I will sell you this land cheap, because the Vermilion Coal Company owns all this land. They only care about what's going on underneath the ground. They don't care about what's above the grass. So they don't care if I sell it dirt cheap, as long as I don't sell the mineral rights to it. So he sold all this land dirt cheap to his nephew, Fawcett Plumb. One condition: you don't take advantage of these people. They work hard for their money. I'm giving you a savings on buying this land. I want you to pass that savings on to the people you sell to. It was common practice for coal mine businesses to own shacks, and they would rent them to the miners. And they would pay them half in government money and the other half in company money. And the company money was only good at the company store and to pay you rent. And Plumb didn't want to deal with that stuff. He believed in capitalism. And I'm giving you, I'm paying you, you find your own way. I'm not going to make you a slave to buy stuff from our store. So he told Fawcett, these people work hard. I want you to build affordable housing. Well, of course, Fawcett Plumb not only got the land cheap, but he had an uncle who owned a bank. So financing wasn't going to be a problem either. And it's ironic, because soon after Sam Plumb came and he opened up the Unionville Bank, he convinced Colonel Plumb that this bank's not big enough for as fast as this town is growing. It's growing too fast. I can't handle it. We need a second bank. You should open up a second bank. And Colonel Plumb, I don't know anything about banks. I'll tell you everything you need to know. He said, but we need a second bank, because I can handle it now, but if we double our population every 3 years like we're doing, he said, we're going to outgrow it. So he convinces Ralph Plumb to open up the Streator National Bank, or the Streator Bank at the time. When it was a personal bank, it was called Streator Bank. It was 1874 that both banks applied for the national charter at the same time. They both became national banks. So I think it's ironic, because everybody thinks because the Plumb brothers owned the two competing banks in town, the Streator Bank and the Union Bank, that they were competitors. And I'm sure there was some competition. I mean, after all, the brothers. Brothers get competitive with each other. But I find it interesting that Ralph talked Sam into open up his bank, and then Sam turned around and talked Ralph into open up his bank. So when people say they had to be competitors, like, well, maybe they were, but they convinced each other to do this. So I think they both wanted each other to survive and to prosper, because they talked the other one into doing it. So that's how they solved that problem. Housing, was growing leaps and bounds. Of course, they were all wooden shacks. Now, at this point, Plumb is getting rich. He decides he wants a nice mansion. To show his new stature, his new wealth, he should have a mansion. He owns railroads. He owns a bank. He runs several coal mines. He bought a couple of personal coal mines that not everything he touched turned to gold. They didn't work out real well for him. But he was getting rich, and he was getting influential throughout the entire area, as probably one of the richest men in this whole area. So he wanted to build a house to show his stature. He wanted his house to be brick. The problem was there were no bricks. He had plenty of clay from digging all these holes everywhere. So he brought a couple of German brick makers from out east, from New York, to come to Unionville to teach people how to make bricks. So he hired 10 guys and these two German laborers to make enough bricks to build his mansion. Of course, they taught those 10 guys taught other guys. Before you knew it, they were making bricks for everybody. Plumb didn't plan on this, but he ended up starting and being president of the Streator Brick Company. Just another thing that he just fell into it, and now he's making money. So he starts the brick yards. And he hires Fawcett to oversee that. So he was the owner, Fawcett was the president of the Streator Brickyards. Another thing that he did with the clay is he was selling the clay to a guy in Chenoa. A guy in Chenoa had come up with a system of building drain tiles to drain swampy fields. And there was a lot of fields in central Illinois, very, very swampy. This guy came up with this system, and Plumb was selling him excess clay. And again, the light bulb went off and said, wait a second, we can do that here. We have the workforce now. You know, we have everything we need. We have the railroads. So he started up the clay tile company. So now Plumb's got money coming in from everywhere. And this is a guy who was just a poor merchant's clerk for 39 years of his life. And now he's got more money and he knows what to do with. So whenever he got the opportunity, he turned around and he spent that money on this community. And you would think that being the richest man in town, having the prestige he's got, he owns banks, he owns railroads, he owns all kinds of houses that he's renting out. He owns the Plumb Hotel that has now been built. You'd think he'd be hated, because that's the stereotype of the richest man in town that owns everything, and he owns the bank, and everybody works for him. I always think of Old Man Potter. It's a Wonderful Life. Everybody has to come groveling to this guy all the time. And Plumb was the complete opposite. He was admired and he was loved by everyone. And you think, well, why would that be? How would that be? You know, considering how everybody owed everything to him. And you would think there'd be some resentment and stuff. But the things he did throughout the community endeared him to everyone. When the hospital was going to be built, he was walking through the park. Of course, he donated the park, the 4 square blocks. It was owned by the Vermilion Coal Company as the secretary-treasurer of the coal company and president. He donated the park. And as he was walking through the park one day, he ran into Father Kelly, who was the pastor of the Immaculate Conception Church. And he asked Reverend Kelly, you know, what does this community need? What can we do to make it better? And Kelly told him, the one thing we need in this community is a hospital. The sisters at our church are volunteering their time at an abandoned house on the corner of 6th and Bloomington Street to help people. It's kind of like a free clinic they were doing down there. And we need a real hospital. And for a town our size and has grown as fast as we are, we need a hospital. And Plumb asked him, what will a hospital cost? He said, it's going to cost at least $10,000 to make a real hospital. Now that doesn't sound like much in today's money, but that was, you know, an astronomical number. And he said, you know, we want to do it. We want to get a fundraising drive started to build this hospital. But it's just such a daunting task, they don't know where to begin, and they're afraid to get started and not be able to do it. So we just have never pulled the trigger and done it. And Plumb says, tell you what, and this is right on the spot how he was thinking. Tell you what, I'll donate the first $1,000. You raise $4,000 more, you're halfway there, and then we'll finance the rest of the money through my bank. Now how hard will it be for you to raise $4,000? And Father Kelly said, we can do that. He said, good. They shook hands on it, and the fundraiser started. And that's how St. Mary's Hospital got to be. The reason it's called St. Mary's Hospital, another anecdote, is because the Immaculate Conception Church was referred to as St. Mary's Church, and it was started by them. The reason that was called St. Mary's Church is that was an offshoot of the church in Winona, little St. Mary's Church there. They started that church. And everybody called it Little St. Mary's. Of course, it got to be much bigger than the original church. So that's, at least that's what I was told. Glenn, I don't know if I'm right or wrong. So I thought maybe you would know better than I would. Anyway, that's just an example of how he helped people, how he made things happen. When churches started up, Park Presbyterian Church is one I can think of off the top of my head. The Episcopalian Church, even though he did not belong to any of those parishes, there are at least 4 churches that he donated either the land or the majority of the money when they had a fundraising drive to start their church.